So, the Yokai Watch movies are weird. They range from, oh wow, this is awesome, to. And they can also contain a wide variety of storylines, so much so that pretty much anything is possible in these movies. I mean, we had one which was about fighting a kaiju war of desserts, so yeah, the sky's the limit. Given this, I asked ChatGPT on a whim to generate 5 ideas for a new movie, and I'm gonna go over them and discuss how realistic they are, and rate them on a scale out of 10. So without further ado, let's begin. So yeah, as I said in the intro, I asked ChatGPT the prompt, brainstorm 5 ideas for a brand new Yokai Watch movie, and it's given 5 ideas here, and we're just gonna go through them and rate them out of 10 based off of how realistic they are. So starting with number 1, Yokai Watch Guardians of Time. The synopsis is that Nate and his friends embark on a thrilling adventure through time when the Yokai Watch mysteriously starts malfunctioning. They must travel to different eras, encountering ancient yokai and solving puzzles to restore the balance of time and prevent a catastrophic disruption of history. This isn't very likely. Realize the movie 1 is already about going to the past. Yeah, level 5 really does like time travel, but I just think they're gonna make another movie about time travel. Especially, it's really similar because in the first movie, the watch, well, it doesn't malfunction, but it does disappear. So it's a very similar premise, so, I guess a 0 out of 10, because this is definitely not likely. Or maybe a 0 or a 1. I think a 1. I mean, that could, but very unlikely. Next, we have Yokai Watch City of Dreams. The synopsis is, when an enchanted artifact turns Springdale into a fantastical city of dreams, Nate, Whisper, and Jibanyan must navigate a surreal world filled with imaginative yokai. Along the way, they uncover the power of dreams and confront a menacing yokai, threatening to trap everyone in an eternal slumber. I mean, Yokai Watch of the movie 3 actually kind of has this type of premise. But unlike this Guardians of Time idea, where it's like very similar, almost copy-paste movie 1, it's similar, but it does have quite a number of differences. Having like a dream world would be pretty cool. I think that's also pretty unique. We had that in Yokai Watch 3 with like the Hoaxy Coaxy world and the Sparkopolis Night, where everything was just made up of mushrooms and everything's made up of Inoho's dreams. So I think this is pretty likely. I wouldn't say too likely because, I mean, it still does share some qualities with movie 3. So maybe like a 6.5 out of 10 for this one. Then we have Yokai Watch Yokai Olympics. The synopsis is, the Yokai Olympics is the most anticipated event in the yokai world. But when a mischievous yokai steals all the medals, it's up to Nate and his yokai friends to retrieve them. They join forces with competitive yokai athletes from different nations and compete in exhilarating challenges to restore harmony to the tournament. It really sounds like a Yokai Watch movie because it's not going as big as an adventure, which some of the movies do. Like, I think a Yokai Watch movie, it was a pretty, like, wacky and just simple premise. It was a bit out there with the Kaiju War, but it was still, like, a bit contained. It wasn't, like, a big adventure. And some of the episodes, they did have, like, stuff like this where, well, they participate in yokai competitions and stuff. So, making that into a movie, making that a bit longer, that seems reasonable. And they could do it like they did with movie 8, where it was just a 45-minute like movie special. That could actually work for this really well. So I think this is actually pretty reasonable and realistic. So maybe like a 8.5 or even a 9 out of 10, because this is a really neat idea. I actually really like to see this. Maybe you could have like different athletes like Blazion or the Wright brothers from like Yokai Watch 3. That would be pretty neat. Then number 4, Yokai Watch Legend of the Celestial Yokai. Synopsis is, in a mystical realm above the clouds, Nate encounters a group of powerful celestial yokai who are on the brink of war. With the fate of both worlds at stake, Nate must prove himself worthy by embarking on a perilous journey to collect the lost artifacts that can restore peace and harmony between the realms. I don't think it's too likely. We do have the 7 Gods of Fortune, so maybe those could replace the Celestial Yokai. That would be pretty neat. So if that's the case, that could be actually somewhat likely. But, I mean, Celestial Yokai, yeah, that not too likely. And, like, just introducing just a new realm. I mean, I don't think we really have realms in Yokai Watch. We kind of just have the Yokai world and then the human world. It would be kind of weird if we just have this realm above the clouds. And it just seems overall pretty unlikely, so I'm maybe gonna give this like a 3.5. If it's the Celestial Yokai, or the 7 Gods of Fortune, maybe like a 5. But overall, just pretty unlikely. Then finally, Yokai Watch: The Great Yokai War. The synopsis is: an ancient prophecy foretells the rise of an evil yokai warlord who seeks to conquer both the yokai and human worlds. Nate, armed with new allies and legendary yokai, leads an epic battle against the warlord's forces. This action-packed movie explores the bonds of friendship and the strength of unity in the face of adversity. Honestly, I would really like this, like an action-packed Yokai Watch movie, like it's like a war drama. That would actually be pretty epic. And we have had like in Whisper's backstory, that was like set in like the Warring States period, so I guess maybe you have to connect it to that. Overall, Yokai Watch movies don't really have too many fight scenes, and if they do, it's kind of gimmicky and normally reserved for the end, so them having like a bunch of battles seems a bit odd. And also, like a movie set during a war, while it's like that, it does seem pretty just out of pocket, just not very likely. But this does sound like a neat idea though. If they were able to do this, and I mean they could potentially do it if they were dedicated to it and actually like expand the idea well. So I would give it maybe a 5. It's not like some of the others where they share elements with like previous movies. It does have some originality. I'll give it credit for that. So I think it earns a solid 5, or maybe a 5.5 or a 6. Maybe a 5.5 is fair. I think that's my rating for this one, a 5.5. It has some original elements, doesn't really share any other movie, but those elements may seem a bit like too drastic for a Yokai Watch movie. And that was 5 new Yokai Watch movie ideas from ChatGPT. I thought all of them were surprisingly well crafted, and it kind of made me want to see some of them actually come to fruition. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video and you're not subscribed already, then consider subscribing for all things Yokai Watch with a mix of other things too. See you next time.